Welcome to Pixar Movie Reviews. I'm your host, Josiah Melky. Today, we are talking about one of the most awesome Pixar movies ever. Definitely another one of my favorites. We are on Disney and Pixar's sixth feature film, The Incredibles. This one represented a bunch of firsts. Every Pixar movie has had its firsts. Toy Story was the first computer animated movie ever. A Bug's Life was the first computer animated movie in widescreen. Toy Story 2 was Pixar's first sequel. Monsters Incorporated was the first one not directed by John Lasseter. And Finding Nemo was the first one to win an Oscar for Best Animated Feature. The Incredibles represents a bunch of firsts. It's the first Pixar movie to focus entirely on humans. It's the first Pixar film directed by someone outside of Pixar who had an existing career before coming to Pixar. In this case, the film is written and directed by Brad Bird, who had previously written and directed the 1999 2D animated critical success but box office flop, The Iron Giant, which people on home video seem to enjoy, so that's good news. It's also the first Pixar movie to get a PG rating thanks to its action scenes. It is a superhero movie after all. But it's another one of my favorites because I just love superhero movies. Even though I haven't seen live action films like Batman or Superman yet, I really want to. But The Incredibles was probably the first superhero movie I ever saw in theaters. I saw it with my dad and my sister Jordan, and then my mom took my littler sister Joy to see it a few months later. And this is Pixar at its finest. Well, maybe not finest, but it's definitely another winner in the Pixar library. Released to theaters at the start of November 2004, The Incredibles was a box office success, but was the first Pixar movie to not surpass its predecessor worldwide, because its box office gross was about $630 million, which is less than the $800 to $900 million that Finding Nemo made. But it still got really good critical reviews, and also is the first Pixar movie to win more than one Oscar, winning 2 Oscars, Best Animated Feature, like Finding Nemo before it, but also Best Sound Editing, making it the only Pixar movie to win an Oscar that's not just Best Animated Feature or one of the music Oscars. So, here's the story of The Incredibles and my thoughts on it. The star of the film is Mr. Incredible, or Bob Parr, the greatest super ever with his super strength. He eventually gets married to Elastigirl, aka Helen, who can stretch her body in all sorts of shapes and sizes, and his best friend is Lucius, aka Frozone, who can freeze people, or objects. 15 years later, after supers are outlawed for causing numerous problems, Bob and Helen are forced to retreat to the suburbs and live a normal life with their 3 kids, Violet, Dash, and Jack-Jack. Bob is hoping for a chance to get back into superhero action, and he eventually gets his chance when he's summoned to a remote island for a top-secret assignment. He soon discovers that a former fan of his, Buddy Pine, who is now the grown-up Syndrome, wants to kill off all supers and pretend to be ones because Mr. Incredible rejected him as a sidekick during the glory days. Bob soon realizes it'll take the combined efforts of his family and Frozone to stop Syndrome's evil plot. So, what are the positives and negatives of The Incredibles? Once again, it's mostly positives for me. The action is wonderful. There are some dead moments where there's not a lot of action, but when there is action on the screen, particularly at the beginning and during the climax, it's awesome. There's also a pretty good voice cast. Unlike past Pixar movies, there aren't a whole lot of celebrities here, but we do get people like Samuel L. Jackson as Frozone and Jason Lee as Syndrome. We also get a bunch of people that have worked at Pixar. A notable example of this is Brad Bird not only wrote and directed the film, but he's also the voice of Edna Mode, the short but tough female designer of supersuits for all the superheroes. You've also got Pixar animators Brett Parker and the late Bud Lucky as Kari the babysitter and government agent Rick Dicker. Actually, the only 2 actors from this movie that did main voices for other Pixar films were Wallace Shawn and John Ratzenberger, who, as we know, have been in the Toy Story films together. Along with the action and the characters, I also really love the theme of family in the film. How Bob wants to relive the glory days, but this is costing him a relationship with his family, and by going through this journey, he learns to accept his family and become a better father and husband, knowing that he may not always get to be a superhero, but he can enjoy the time he has with his family if he stops and takes the time to enjoy it. There's also really great music in this one by film composer Michael Giacchino. He was the third composer at Pixar after Randy Newman and his cousin Thomas Newman, and his score is fantastic, especially during the end credits. As for stuff I don't like, there are some moments where some of the characters disappear for a while. The kids don't get a lot to do until really the second half of the movie, and Frozone disappears for a considerable amount of time. But fortunately, the fact that they all come together for the climax makes up for that. Other than that, I really don't have any other complaints about this movie. I know I may sound praiseworthy on all these films, but we're going to get to the ones I don't like in a few weeks. But The Incredibles is another Pixar film that I really, really enjoy. I currently have it at number 8 on my ranking of all the Pixar movies, between Toy Story 2 at number 9 and Monsters Incorporated at number 7. So there you go. Let me know what you think about The Incredibles. Do you like it? Where are you at on it? And thanks so much. I'll see you next time on Pixar Movie Reviews. I'm Josiah Milkey, and thanks for watching.